Welcome back to the Sports Mag Zone. All eyes will be on Manchester, England on Sunday for a Premier League title showdown with 8 games to go at the Etihad Stadium between leaders Manchester City and second-placed Liverpool. Only 1 point separates the teams atop the EPL table. Both managers were keen to heap praise on each other in the pre-match press conference. This is what Klopp said. I respect a lot what the City do. It's an insane football team. And for me, the world's best manager. If I would be a different person, I would be probably a little bit depressed about the fact that Pep Guardiola is constantly coaching these kind of teams. Pep Guardiola said, in the last 5 years, they've been the biggest opponent. Jurgen, as a manager, has been the biggest rival I've ever had in my career. And I think what both teams propose is good for football. I remember my period here when I'm retired watching and playing golf. I remember my biggest rival was Liverpool, for sure. So both Pep and Jurgen in the Mutual Admiration Society. Joining us on Zoom to preview this blockbuster, because a blockbuster it is our European football correspondent, Simon Evans. Simon, of course, is international sports reporter at Reuters. Simon, welcome to the discussion. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. I'm not sure about those impressions there of Klopp and Pep Guardiola, but yeah, we'll let that go.
There you go. Listen, as the legendary Jamaican, I know you know your reggae music. As a legendary Jamaican singer, Beresford Hammond said, "What can you do to stop a man from trying?" Yeah. All right. So here we are, Simon. The stage is set. Both teams doing the business in Europe, so both teams come into the game in very good heart, in good form. There are some injury absentees on both sides, and I think it's perhaps sensible for us to start there. In terms of the key players who either coach would be missing, what are things looking like for City and Liverpool?
Well, I think the big one for City is Ruben Diaz. You know, the way City play, both these teams, the way they play, pushing forward, they rely really on their 2 central defenders to do an awful lot of work, because the fullbacks, we'll maybe talk about that later on, but the fullbacks aren't really defending that much. So to be without Ruben Diaz, yes, you've still got Laporte and John Stones there, 2 very capable central defenders, but there's something about Diaz. He brings that sense of authority the way that Van Dijk does for Liverpool. So that will be a factor if Diaz is missing, as we expect.
Yeah, and you're right to stop it at Diaz, because I'm just running through my mental Rolodex, and Liverpool have a fit squad to choose from. All the key pieces for Klopp are available. I want to engage you in this next point, Simon, on 2 key stats at either end of the pitch, and it favours Liverpool, those stats, because so far this season, they've had in league play 557 shots at goal. That is the highest number of shots at this point in the season of each year. Well, the highest since Klopp came to Merseyside in 2015, so 557. The startling thing about that stat for me, Simon, because left by itself, it doesn't really mean much. Those 557 shots that Liverpool have taken so far this season, that is 30% higher than what they took at this same stage last year. Leave that at the side. The other key stat in informing the question is this. Without Virgil van Dijk, opponents score every 6 shots they take at the Liverpool goal. With Virgil van Dijk back, it's 12 shots, so double. They have to work doubly hard to score Liverpool with him at the back. With those 2 things on the table, Simon, how difficult will it be for City to conquer this Liverpool team on Sunday?
Oh, it is going to be difficult, and there's no doubt about it. And of course, City, you know, we've talked lots of times about the absence of an out-and-out centre forward and whether or not that will cost City at any stage. And if it is going to cost them at any stage, it will be in a game like this, because you get so few chances. And if Van Dijk doesn't have a top-class striker to worry about, he can focus on marshalling the rest of the defence. So, yeah, it's going to be very difficult for City. There's no doubt about it. But then, you know, you can go through. I mean, the statistics are incredible for both these teams over the last 4 or 5 years. I was just looking through how similar they are to each other in almost everything: points, goals, away wins, home records, everything is so similar over these 4 years. There's like a wafer paper between the two of them.
It literally is, Simon, because over the past 4 seasons, cumulatively, only 1 point separates the two teams. 1 single point in 4 seasons if you add everything up.
And that's with them getting nearly 400 points each.
Yes.
It's incredible. It's incredible. We've never had anything like this. We haven't. And I know there's a lot of hyperbole around the Premier League, and we like to talk it up in England and say it's the greatest league in the world and everything. But I don't think there has been a time where there have been 2 such outstanding teams going head-to-head like they are on Sunday. And we had great rivalries in the past with, United and Arsenal is the one that people think about from the Premier League era. There's been great Liverpool and United battles over the years before that. But I don't think we've had anything with this quality and the consistency week in, week out from these 2 teams. And we really are privileged to be able to be witness to it, really.
Yes, Simon, and speaking about, the quality of both teams, it won't really be us getting ahead of ourselves to think that there can be a draw. Now, if there is a draw in Sunday's match, how does this affect both teams? Because if we look at the fixtures, Manchester City, I would like to say, have easier fixtures and easier schedule ahead of them.
Yeah, I think the thing that's in the back of my mind looking at the running is how much is that Champions League factor going to weigh on Manchester City? Because you just feel with Guardiola, even though he's talking this game up like everybody else, even though he wants to win it and he wants to win the Premier League, there's no doubt he wants to win everything. But you just feel, after everything that's gone on over the last few seasons with City in Europe, that the prize he really would like this season would be the Champions League. Finally getting his hands on that for the first time in over a decade since he won it with Barcelona. Liverpool have won the Champions League under Klopp. I don't think they're quite going to be as distracted by the Champions League. When it comes to those little decisions, do you rest a key player like De Bruyne or someone like that at the weekend to save them for a semi-final of a Champions League and so on? I don't think Liverpool will take their eye off the goal of the Premier League, whereas I do wonder in that run-in whether City might do a little bit.
Yeah, and they joke about the fact that Pep overthinks and whatnot. So just based on the fact that, they have the Champions League in the back of their mind, do you get the sense that, he'll tinker with this squad when they face Liverpool?
No. I think if he tinkers with it, he'll tinker with it to put out the side that he thinks has got the best chance of beating Liverpool. I mean, they're going to go out there and try and win this game. Now, how he approaches that and what kind of system he comes up with, what choices of personnel he comes up with, will be interesting to see. I mean, the big question with City mostly now, the midfield is fairly settled. The back four without Diaz picks itself, really. It's a question of who gets the nod up front. Does Jack Grealish play? Does Raheem Sterling play? We've seen different players operating in those positions. Foden, of course. And it'll be interesting to see which ones he goes with on Sunday.
Simon, how important is it for the team scoring first on Sunday? Because a lot is being made of the fact that Man City have, in every game they've scored first, won that particular game this season, so far this season anyway.
Yeah, but they're up against a team who can score from anywhere, aren't they? And it's I think it's less important in this game than in any other game, really. I mean, City will look to try and dominate territorially and sit in Liverpool's half as much as they can. But Liverpool's entire system is designed to break out of that and to not allow that to happen. And so, it is this clash of styles. They have similarities. They both like pressing. They both like dominating the ball, but in different ways and with different styles. And it's impossible really to look at it and say, right, this is the pattern we can expect from the game, because we know what City would like it to be and we know what Liverpool would like it to be, but they cancel each other out and they compete with each other so closely that it's impossible to imagine how that might unfold.
Yeah, and what do you make of both managers heaping praise on each other? Behaving as if the other one is the best coach in the world.
But I genuinely do think it's real. I do think it is respect, because we've seen in the past when Mourinho and Wenger and Ferguson and so on that there were these mind games, and you could tell that Ferguson didn't really like Mourinho much, certainly didn't like Wenger. There was some personal feeling there. I just never picked up anything other than respect from these two for each other. I mean, Klopp did an interview this week where he was saying that doing the research and analysis before games can sometimes be a chore, you know, going through all the video and working everything out. And he said with City, it's a joy to do it because you're looking at something pretty close to footballing perfection. And Guardiola talking about how he's pushed. I mean, this is an extremely motivated, almost maniacal figure on the sidelines, is Guardiola. And you think that he wouldn't need any extra motivation, but he says Liverpool pushes him. Liverpool makes him get up in the morning and go and give that little extra. And you see it. I think it's real. I don't think they're just doing that for appearance's sake.
Yeah, I want to take you up on the issue of the fullbacks, and you wrote a nice piece about the modern day fullback and especially the impact of the two fullbacks that Liverpool deploys week in, week out. But before we go to that, I just want to take you up on the rivalry between City and Liverpool, because Jamie Carragher was it who fanned the flames on this particular point, that Liverpool and the City are the greatest rivalry the Premier League has ever seen. And that, you know, it's better than any clash between any two heavyweights in the league before. And you pretty much said the same thing. So I want to just examine that a little bit, because I want to ask, in that period that City and Liverpool have come together, because Klopp came to Liverpool before Guardiola came to City. So since Guardiola came and made it a duo with Klopp in the league, in that time, City have won the Premier League multiple times, have not won the Champions League. Liverpool have won one Champions League and one league title. How then can a claim be made that these two represent the best rivalry when they have not monopolized all of the big trophies in England, and Chelsea in the period have won more big titles than Liverpool have?
Yeah, I mean, I would. My problem with Carragher's point there about the rivalry was less on a football sense, because I think when you look at the way that they've competed for the league title, and that does dominate so much in England these days. I mean, in the past we could talk about the FA Cup and the League Cup and the other trophies as being close to the same value as a league title, but you know, over this period, there's only been those two since Chelsea won the title under Conte. That's 5 seasons ago now. No one's been close to winning the title apart from these two teams. So that is really established. But a rivalry to me has to have more than just be two very, very good football teams. There has to be some needle there. There has to be some feeling there. There has to be some history, some resentment, some bad guys, some controversies. There's got to be those kind of things that rile people up and wind them up. And this doesn't have any of that. I mean, we've just been saying how much respect they have for each other. You hear the same from the players. It wasn't like that with Manchester United and Arsenal. You know, Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira in the tunnel and everything else was very, very different. That's a rivalry to me. So this is a sporting rivalry, but it's not a real club rivalry like we've seen with some of the other ones. Yeah,
because a real rivalry, Simon, has to have animus. And we've seen that time and several examples all over the world. It has to have that for it to really mean more than just the on-field play. The point about the fullbacks, though, in all competitions, in your piece, you gave us the stats about the combined assists that both Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson have in league play in the Premier League. I want to go a little bit beyond that to look at the assists that they've had overall. They've had 30 overall in all competitions this season. It's amazing. Even if you go by the EPL stats alone, it's insane for those two players. So with Guardiola knowing precisely how a player in that position is programmed to work. He knows how to design fullbacks to hurt the opponent, like in the way that Klopp sends Alexander-Arnold and Robertson to hurt the opponent. Does he have the personnel? Does he have the system to blunt the effectiveness of Robertson and Trent, or will those two shine on Sunday?
Yeah, I think his hope is that you know, as he says, you defend with the ball at Manchester City, and I think his hope is that if Robertson and Alexander-Arnold have enough to do, keeping an eye out for Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez and whoever else plays in those wide positions, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne are coming out into wide positions now and then, that they won't have much opportunity to get forward. I think that'll be the way he approaches it. Of course, City's fullbacks play in a very different way, you know, because Cancelo isn't that kind of attacking fullback in the same way as Andy Robertson is. He creates a lot, but more through passing. He goes into central midfield. It's very interesting. He did it at Bayern Munich with Philipp Lahm, who went from left back or right back into the central midfield positions and became almost an additional holding midfielder, or in some cases with Cancelo, almost an additional number 10. So it's very interesting. Excuse me.
That's fine. That's fine. Are you ready? Are you ready to continue? All right. So Simon is taking a commercial break. What is true, Simon, as you finish up that point, is that the goalkeepers, I think, are going to be very, very important on Sunday. And not many people will give them any column inches at all. But I think of Ederson in the City goal and, of course, Alisson in the Liverpool goal. Whichever of those can eliminate a mistake from their game, they'll set their team on the course to winning. And we say mistakes, Simon, as if we're looking for a goalkeeper to drop a howler, to throw in to have a really calamitous impact on the game. It doesn't have to be that. It can be as simple as choosing not to come for a corner, or choosing choosing to go for a corner when it would have been more judicious to stay on your line. Just that kind of misjudgment can be the difference between winning and losing when teams are so evenly matched. And I think the keepers, both goalkeepers, are going to be crucial to the outcome on Sunday.
They are, and they're also both goalkeepers who are expected to do a lot of work with their feet as well. Both teams play that system with the sweeper keeper, as it gets called, where they have to come out and do work behind their defence with their feet. Now, on that point, I think I've seen very, very few mistakes from Ederson over the time he's been at Manchester City. Outstanding goalkeeper. The best in the world with his feet, there's no doubt about that, but pretty good with everything else as well. Alisson also makes some great saves, good with his feet and so on. But if you look at the records over the last 3 or 4 years and you're looking for those mistakes, I think you're more likely to find them from Alisson. 1 or 2 a season where he makes them. Now, it would be, of course, quite a thing if he was to do one of those big errors on Sunday, but I think City have the edge in the goalkeeper department.
There you go. All right, we're going to take a break, Simon, excepting when Ederson kicked the ball at Scott McTominay's feet, or threw it at Scott McTominay's feet for that defeat in the Manchester Derby last season. We take a break. Don't go anywhere, Simon, so we're going to continue with you after this. Back with us on the Sports Back Zone. Mariah is trying to collapse the set here on the Sports Back Zone.
She almost collapsed.
She almost collapsed. That would be good, but there you go. All right, so round 32 action in the English Premier League kicked off earlier on Friday with 15th placed Newcastle hosting 8th placed Wolves at St James's Park. We have highlights.
St James's Park ready for the Friday night kickoff. Trincao, mistake by Kundu. Clever from Sam Maximin. Now 3-on-3 if they're quick enough here, Newcastle. Joe Linton has got Bruno Guimaraes to his right. Down goes Chris Wood. Penalty! Huge moment in the game. No mistake from Chris Wood. It's only his second goal for Newcastle.
Willing the ball into the net. Very consummately taken. Calmness personified.
Wonderful noise inside here now. What a transformational season this has been. And if you compare the mood around this place at the start of the season to the mood now as Newcastle celebrate another home win.
Yeah, so the Kiwi, Chris Wood, coming up with the goal for Newcastle, who are in 14th, well, moved to 14th with that win. They have 34 points, and yeah, it looks as if the job is done, although some Allardyce did say safety may cause minds to drift to the beach. Wolves, they are in 8th. They are on 49 points, and don't know if they were seriously hunting a place in the top 4. It's still within their grasp, but the games are running out. They've played 2 games more than Spurs, who are in that 4th place at this moment. Our European football correspondent Simon Evans is still with us. Simon, the stats show that no team has ever survived the drop in the EPL, having failed to win any of their 14 matches. Will Newcastle be history makers?
Yeah, I think Newcastle, it's happened what a lot of people thought would happen in the January window, where they had the money from the takeover to go out and buy some players. Chris Wood, they spent 25 million on to get him. He's one example. And Guimaraes, who was involved in that action as well, another player they brought in. They changed manager. They changed things around. They've invested and they've got out of trouble. So, it's been I'd be very surprised if they somehow got dragged back into it now. And that's the 10 points clear of Burnley, who are in the last of the relegation spots. I think they've got 2 games, played 2 games more, but even so, they should be safe now.
So here's a question, though. Is it that the Newcastle improvement is down to the quality of Eddie Howe's coaching, or is it more basic than that? It's down to the fact that they've added quality players to the struggling unit that began the season?
I think it's a bit of both. I think Howe has livened things up and brought some fresh perspective there, really. I mean, things... I felt sorry for Steve Bruce with some of the stick he was getting, and a lot of people, I think shared that in football because, he's a nice guy who was... But he was struggling there as well. The fans didn't want him there. There wasn't a good rapport, and Howard's come in and has given them a bounce, and it didn't happen immediately. But they've got what they wanted. They've got out of trouble, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens with Newcastle this summer, because with the huge amount of resources they've got behind them with the Saudi backers, they will be looking to build a team that will challenge for Europe next season.
Yeah, all it means is that players coming to England for whichever team are now going to have a huge premium on them just because of the number of deep-pocketed teams that can afford to pay premium dollar. Where Wolves are concerned, Simon, I watched Bruno Lage struggle with this team very early in the campaign after taking over from Nuno Espirito Santo. He seems to have found the formula. Wolves are dangerous once again. They are playing well, and I know today's result would hurt, but can they crack Europe? Can they qualify for Europe, this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be the top 4, is it? But they've got a chance to get into the Europa League, the very worst, the Conference League, and it'll be good to see them in there because I think he's actually, the concern was would he be able to maintain the sort of progress that Nuno had made for Wolves before his disappointing sort of final season. And he's actually developed it and gone much further. I think they're a better team now. I think they've got a little bit more to them. They're not as one-dimensional as they were under Nuno. And the question for them is, beyond this season, can they keep hold of Ruben Neves, who's such a fantastic part of what they do in the centre of midfield, a real sort of throwback playmaker, dictator of the game, really good to watch. But they've got to keep on keeping hold of those players, and when they do lose, add in 1 or 2 extra.
Yeah, there's a friend of ours here who used to work at Sportsmax, Simon, who for 3.5 seasons has been beseeching the Manchester United owners to buy Ruben Neves. He's the biggest Ruben Neves fan I know in this part of the world, and he remains frustrated that that man is not yet in the Man United colours. Speaking of Man United, Simon, they play Everton in a match crucial for both teams for different reasons. United claim to be hunting a spot in the Champions League. Their play doesn't back up what their claim is, while Everton are trying not to fall through the relegation trapdoor. Frank Lampard under huge pressure, Ralph Rangnick almost like a sitting duck as manager of the United team. What will happen at Goodison?
Well, there is incredible pressure on Everton now because midweek they went to Burnley, who were 4 points below them in the league, and lost 3-2, a late goal for Burnley. That result leaves them just a point off Burnley and a point off the relegation zone. And you look at Everton's running. They've got United, they've got Leicester twice, they've got Liverpool. They've got a really tough run-in, much tougher than Burnley's actually. So they could be dragged into, well, not they are dragged into it, but they could be in serious trouble, Everton, and they've got to start winning some home games because their away record is appalling. It's the worst in the league. But United, they tended to do well at Everton over the last few years, but it's just, it just feels like the whole season's gone flat for United, doesn't it? And the managerial situation, appointing an interim manager just hasn't worked out, really. Everyone's waiting for the confirmation of the next manager, likely to be Ten Hag from Ajax. And then they can start to look forward to next season, really. But they do need to try and get into the Champions League if they can. It makes a big difference financially. and a big difference to the prestige of a club like Manchester United.
Excellent. Good job, Simon. Thank you very much for your time. We'll talk next week.
All right, all the best.
Good. Simon Evans there. There's I'd like just to get your predictions on the game. City, Liverpool on the weekend.
City.
Yeah, score. What score do you think of?
2-1.
I'll take a draw.
Yeah. I saw this comment that when he was on Monday Night Football on Sky Sports recently, and he was telling Jamie Carragher and the host that he thinks Ronaldo should be sold at Manchester United because he's old and he should move on. Ronaldo took exception to that. He posted jealous to a picture of Rooney, Carragher and the host. He put his post below that picture. You think he's onto something, Cristiano Ronaldo, saying that Rooney and Carragher are jealous of him?
Well, Rooney did say Pogba as well, though.
Yes, but he said Ronaldo as well, yeah.
I don't think he's jealous, no.
I think he was just giving his honest opinion on the situation. I just think that Cristiano Ronaldo is just full of himself, so he'll always think that people are jealous of him.
And then Rooney said in his press conference to prove, Rooney said, well, honestly speaking, anybody not named Messi would be jealous of Cristiano Ronaldo. The way he looks, his physique, his goals,
so you think
his
he
trophies.
Really is?
But he would be. But what Rooney was saying is that any professional who wanted the best out of his career and looked at what he achieved and then compared it to what Ronaldo would achieve, apart from Lionel Messi, everybody else would be jealous. And he's right. And I'm also saying that people forget Wayne Rooney is younger than Cristiano Ronaldo. One man is managing, and the other man is still scoring goals. So, difficult to criticize a man like that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying that he was saying it in the context of Manchester United's immediate future.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I trust Wayne Rooney's comment to be a genuine comment and not
Vindictive.
Not deemed in jealousy or anything.
I wouldn't have said that, though. I'd have said, look, I think Cristiano may want to move on after a disappointing season, the club not achieving things at his high standard. He may want to go, which is the same thing as saying he should go without saying, because you can't this.
Well, coming up on the Sportsmax Zone, second place Sevilla meet Granada to start round 31 in Spain's La Liga. Did Sevilla cut Real Madrid's lead by 3 points, or did they flounder again? And later we are examining Serena Williams' future against the background of her former coach, Patrick Mouratoglou, moving on to a full-time role with former world #1 Simona Halep. Stay with us. Stay with Sportsmax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.